Hey, welcome back to Livin MN Outdoors. I'm Daniel, and thanks for tuning in to another fishing report. Before we dive into this week's report, just a reminder, guys, if you use any of the guides or resorts mentioned in today's report, please let them know you saw them on Livin MN Outdoors. And if you could, click down below, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and you will be notified every time we post a new fishing report or fishing video. But with that being said, let's dive right into this week's fishing report. Alright, this week we're going to start up on Leech Lake. The water temps are currently in the upper 60s to low 70s, and it's starting to kick off those fall patterns. Now, the jumbo perch bite on Leech Lake right now, that is really heating up. You can find those jumbo perch in 5 to 15 feet of water, sand grass flats, and weed lines such as milfoil and coontail in that 5 to 15 feet of water is the areas to target. Now, as far as how to catch them, jigs and minnows. 1/16 or 1/8 ounce jig, tip that with a fathead or a rainbow, and you're going to catch some really nice perch out on Leech Lake right now. Now, with that perch report, those walleyes are closely behind those perch. They're following them up in, they're feeding on them, and the same bait that the perch are feeding on. So the best areas to target walleyes right now, that 5 to 15 feet of water, same areas, sand to grass flats, milfoil, and coontail. Now, that doesn't mean there isn't walleyes anywhere else out on the lake. There's still a good number of walleyes out on the mud. So if you don't want to chase those walleyes up in shallow, the mud is a good place to find those as well. Now, the best ways to catch those walleyes, slip bobber and a leech is still working if you can find leeches. Otherwise, a jig and half a crawler, a leech, or a fathead is working as well. When I talked to Austin earlier today, he said when it comes to bait, bring the kitchen sink, because with them in between that fall and summer patterns, they're not quite sure what they want to feed on from day to day. Now, as far as the muskie bite goes out on Leech, the muskies are up on the structure. There is more and more muskies showing up on the structures every day. On calm, sunny days, deep weed lines are holding a ton of muskies. The best baits are burning bucktails or snapping rubber baits. And then on windy, overcast days, sand and rocks seem to be holding more fish. Bucktails and topwaters are working in that scenario. Now, as far as the panfish bite goes, still those panfish are hanging out on those deep weed edges, that 10 to 14 feet of water. They're kind of sporadic right now, but did get some reports of guys catching crappies on jigging wraps, jigs and plastics. Slip bobber with a chunk of a crawler is working for bluegills or small panfish leeches. Now, as far as the smallmouth bass bite goes, main lake rock piles in Walker Bay, that 10 to 18 feet of water is holding the majority of those fish right now. Drop shots, Ned rigs, or using live bait is working for those as well. Now, if you guys are looking for a guide up on Leech Lake Guide Team LLC, they have a bunch of amazing guides up there. Not only are they going to take you out fishing and put a bunch of fish in the boat, but they're going to teach you how, why, when, where to catch those fish. They are some awesome guides up there, and I guarantee you will have a blast hopping in the boat with them. So if you're looking to book a guide trip, get in touch with Leech Lake Guide Team LLC and have yourself a blast. Now, if you're looking for a place to stay up on Leech Lake, Horseshoe Bay Lodge, they have cabins, condos, hotel rooms, full bar and restaurant, indoor pool and hot tub, whatever you could ask for to have an amazing time up on the lake. They can provide it. Go ahead, give Cam or Courtney a call from Horseshoe Bay Lodge. All right, now moving over to Lake Winnie. The past couple of weeks, the bite on Winnie had really been picking up, and then this past weekend, it really started to stink. It's really tough right now to get on those walleyes and perch. It didn't help that it was super windy this past week. But right now, the majority of the walleyes, they are in that 5 to 10 feet of water. Still picking up a few, pulling spinners through the weeds and on the weed edges. The fish they are catching, they're primarily on white spinners. Tip those with a fathead or a leech, and you might pick up a few. Now, the guys have not been fishing the north or west side of the lake much because of the wind. So the bite on those sides of the lake might be a little better than on the south end. So if you're going to head up to Lake Winnie, I would highly recommend fishing the north and west side of the lake. Now, as far as the perch bite goes, the perch bite has been pretty tough out on Winnie as well. They are picking up a few in Tamarack and Dam Bay, pulling spinners through the weeds and along those weed lines, like I said before. But right now they are few and far between. Now, as far as the panfish bite goes, they are picking up some crappies and bluegills on the deep weed edges, getting those pulling spinners with minnows or crawlers. And then if you can locate a school of them, if they're crappies, jigs and plastics, or jigs and minnows, or bluegills on a slip bobber with a chunk of a night crawler. Now, over in Big Cutfoot, they are still getting some bluegills over there, just on the outside edges of those weed lines in that 8 to 12 feet of water. The best weed lines are those weed lines in proximity to deeper water. So look for those, and you're probably going to catch some really nice bluegills. Now, as far as the muskie bite goes out on Winnie, didn't get a lot of reports from this past weekend just because the wind was so bad. But I do know a lot of guys had been fishing Tamarack Point and Battle Point, casting a lot of bucktails. Black specifically has been working really well, and I have been seeing some really nice muskies being caught out there. Now, if you guys are looking for a guide out on Lake Winnie, Zups Guide Service, he does not have a ton of availability left, but he can fit in a few more trips. So if you're looking to get out there yet this open water season, give him a call, see if you can work something in. And then just a reminder, guys, he is going to be renting out his ice castles this coming winter. So if you guys want to get out on Winnie, do some walleye and perch fishing, things are starting to fill up fairly quickly for late December and January. So give him a call and get something booked as soon as possible. Now, as far as a place to stay up on Lake Winnie, the Pines Resort, they have cabins, campsites, full bar and restaurant, live bait, dock slips, rental boats. If you're looking for a place to stay this coming weekend or in the future, go ahead and give Chad a call from the Pines Resort. All right, now moving over to Mille Lacs Lake. The walleye bite out on Mille Lacs Lake has been kind of hit and miss over the last few weeks. The rocks on the north and west side have been producing a few more fish than the mud and the deeper gravel, but there is definitely the fall pattern starting to show up out there. A lot of guys trolling crankbaits in 17 to 22 feet of water. Number 5 shad wraps, number 5 flicker shads, whatever your favorite go-to crankbait is, those have been producing some really nice fish out there. So if you want to do some trolling, that is one great option as of right now. Now, slip bobber and a leech, that's always the go-to out on Mille Lacs Lake. If you can find leeches, I have been finding some at Prince Bait in Malacca and Tuts in Garrison. So if you're planning on going out to Mille Lacs Lake, definitely check with them, see if they still have leeches, because leeches are the ticket. Now, as far as the perch bite goes, the perch bite has still been pretty good out on Mille Lacs Lake. I know they're still getting some on the mud. They're getting some over on the deeper gravel on the east and southeast side. Then over on the west side, they're getting them on the rocks as well. The best depths for those right now, 16 to 22 feet of water. slip bobber and a leech like usual. They are getting them on crawlers too, so if you can't find leeches, pick up some crawlers, cut them in half, and you'll catch some really nice perch that way as well. Now, didn't get a lot of reports for muskies this past week, but just for starters, out on Mille Lacs Lake, deep weed edges, around the bays on the north end, those are usually really good. And then those big muskies, those usually are out in the deep water basins by the Tullabee schools. Like I've told you a million times, troll crankbaits. If you have live scope, pitch big rubber baits at them, and more than likely, if you come across one of those big fish, they will bite right now. Now, if you guys are looking for a place to stay up on Mille Lacs Lake, Castles Resort and Isle, they do have some cabins available for this coming weekend. They have launches going out. They have pontoon rentals. Whatever you need, they can help accommodate you. Go ahead, give Jeff or Kimberly a call and get something on the books. Now, just a reminder, guys, ice fishing season is coming. The resorts and guides are starting to take bookings for those. They are starting to fill up fairly quickly. Just a reminder, guys, a lot of these places get ice in early December. So start making reservations now if you want some of those dates, because usually the fishing the first, second, third weekend of December are some of the best of the season. So don't forget to get in contact with them and get something booked. Now, if you guys make it out fishing, take some pictures, send them to us on Facebook or to our Gmail. Remember, be kind at the boat ramp, be respectful of other fishermen, and most importantly, don't forget to get on out there and get living.